Coming up on today's show, Tesla officially begins Tesla Model 3 dual motor production at a brand new production line inside a temporary tent-like structure beside its Fremont production facility. Porsche buys a 10% stake in hypercar manufacturer Rimac, and there's drama aplenty as Tesla accuses a former employee of sabotage and takes him to court, while at the same time, the former employee fights back. These stories and more coming next. Welcome back to another weekly roundup in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation. We've got lots of stories to cover today, as well as news of a prize draw in celebration of our 50,000th subscriber. So stick around until the end of the show. We start today with Audi, which has announced a new partnership with SMA Solar Technology and their Hager Group to bring cost-optimized charging to its soon-to-launch Audi e-tron. With an 11 kilowatt charger as standard and an optional second charging unit to enable 22 kilowatt charging at home, the Audi e-tron, thanks to the new partnership, will be able to charge when energy is not only at its cheapest, but also at its greenest, even throttling power to ensure the house's electricity system isn't overloaded or to ensure it's charged only using renewable power generated by solar panels on the roof of the owner's home. In other words, it's a responsive charging system that Audi says will seamlessly connect to the owner's home and to the local grid to ensure optimum energy management for everyone. Some 11 months after the first production Model 3 electric cars rolled off Tesla's Fremont production line, Tesla has now officially begun producing the all-wheel drive, or dual-motor, variant of its mid-sized electric sedan. Given Tesla is already balls to the wall inside its Fremont production facility, dual-motor Model 3 production is taking place inside a massive aluminium-framed temporary structure located alongside the Fremont production line. Some people are calling it a tent, but to be honest, it's closer to a temporary warehouse, agricultural building, or aircraft hangar than anything else. The erection of the building happened in super quick time, and of course, that's something that made Tesla CEO Elon Musk very happy indeed, as Tesla is rushing to get as many cars out of the door as possible. Audi and Hyundai may be working hard to bring their own long-range electric cars to market, but the two automakers have announced a new partnership on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. The partnership would see them cross-license hydrogen fuel cell patents from each other, as well as share non-competitive components between the two companies. Although Audi is part of its Volkswagen Group, it is Audi which has been tasked with developing fuel cell technology which, if successful, will be shared across the whole Volkswagen Group. Audi has been working on hydrogen fuel cell technology for more than 20 years, but, like Hyundai, has yet to produce a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle that can beat electric cars in terms of total build cost and sticker price. While Audi is busy with fuel cells, the Volkswagen Group's research division has announced a $100 million investment in QuantumScape, a solid-state battery startup spun out of Stanford University, which has been collaborating with the company for the past few years. The investment seems to suggest the Volkswagen sees commercial potential in QuantumScape's products, and the two companies are now talking about a long-term target of building a production line for solid-state batteries by 2025. Of course, other automakers are working on solid-state tech too, but Volkswagen says the QuantumScape technology could more than double the range of today's electric vehicles and give them faster charger times and longer battery lives too. Air travel is still one of the most polluting forms of transportation today, but this week, solar panel company SunPower announced a new partnership with the Mission Solar Stratus expedition. What's that, I hear you ask? It's a mission to fly a solar-powered super lightweight airplane at 75,000 feet, complete with pilot. The mission itself has been in the planning stage now for about 2 years, and the flight will last about 5 hours. 2 hours ascending, 15 minutes at high altitude, and then 3 hours to descend, and is meant to showcase both renewable energy and zero-emission flight. It won't be the highest ever electric plane because NASA managed that with its Helios vehicle, but if all succeeds, it will be the record for the highest ever manned flight of an electric vehicle. Here's to the team and an amazing adventure which lies ahead. Porsche might be full steam ahead with the production plans for its first electric car, the Porsche Taycan, but it's also been busy making strategic business investments. This week, it acquired a 10% stake in Croatian electric hypercar manufacturer Rimac. With Rimac going from zero to hero in just 10 years, producing one of the world's most sought-after hypercars, it's clear Porsche wants to leverage some of Rimac's expertise in battery and drivetrain technology, and Rimac is looking at the stakeholding as a way of helping it become an electric car component and system supplier of choice for the automotive industry. What's Elon Musk's exit strategy? It's a question lots of people have asked over the years, and with Elon Musk recently buying more Tesla stock, it's clear that he's intending to stay at Tesla for the long term. Unlike many CEOs, Musk's salary is basically nothing but stocks, meaning he does have to stick around for the long term to reap any financial reward from the company. But this week, we learned that while he currently has no intentions of going nowhere and has said multiple times in the past that he'll be the last one to sell his Tesla stock, he does intend to sell a major stake in Tesla in about 20 years to help finance one of his other life goals, helping SpaceX colonize Mars. In the meantime, he's intending to continue to sell off a couple $100 million of Tesla stock every few years for charity, something he's already done multiple times. It's that time of year again. This coming weekend, thousands of people will flock to Pikes Peak in Colorado for the annual Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. And alongside the various loud, roaring vehicles taking place, an ever-increasingly large number of electric vehicles will be zipping up the mountain. And this year, there's serious upset on the mountain thanks to the Volkswagen ID.R Pikes Peak, which has consistently set fastest times on the course, finishing the shortened qualifying section of the hill climb more quickly than anything else, 11 seconds more quickly. With 680 horsepower, Romain Dumas and the ID.R Pikes Peak could set a new record. So here's good luck to him and everyone else competing this weekend. Official standards, be they to set out how a mobile telephone connects to the world around it, or setting out how large a courgette or zucchini can grow before it's considered a marrow, are always open to interpretation of sorts, and the electric vehicle world is no exception, which is why, ever since the new Nissan Leaf launched in the US earlier this year, there's been an issue with certain CHAdeMO DC quick charging stations. They just refuse to work with a mid-range electric car. This, like Rapidgate debacle, hasn't done Nissan any good, and this week we learned that the problem lies with a changed resistor in the CHAdeMO charging system inside the new Leaf, which is causing certain charging stations to fail to properly communicate with the car. The issue does seem isolated to AirVironment DC quick charging stations, and both companies have announced a modification is being rolled out to address the problem. So if you're a Nissan Leaf owner, you may soon be able to quick charge on the road again at AV quick charge stations. To date, Zero Motorcycles has followed a fairly traditional sales model, relying on independent motorcycle dealers to sell and maintain its range of all-electric motorbikes. But this week, it opened its first ever Tesla-styled showroom, owned and operated solely by the company. While Zero Motorcycles is based in Scotts Valley, Santa Cruz, it's picked Orange County as the home of its first company-owned dealership. As well as helping it provide excellent sales and service, Zero is treating this first store as a litmus test to see if it will replicate the Tesla sales model elsewhere. Tesla's Autopilot, as I've said many times here, isn't an autonomous driving system, at least not yet. Instead, it's a very advanced driver assistance aid, and as such right now, you should keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road at all times when using it. To that end, Tesla has recently modified its vehicle software to ensure that drivers do just that, nagging them regularly to keep their hands on the wheel if the system thinks they aren't. But some people, including the company behind the Autopilot Buddy, a pair of weights that mount onto the steering wheel to mimic hands on the wheel, have been trying to encourage people not to follow that advice. But now, the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has issued a cease and desist to the company behind the Autopilot Buddy. They have until the end of the month to confirm to NHTSA that all US marketing, sales and distribution has ended. And frankly, it can't be soon enough, because the more people abuse autopilot, the longer it will take for autonomous and semi-autonomous vehicles to gain mass market adoption. If you've watched this show much, you'll know that China is currently experiencing a massive explosion in electric vehicle adoption, with every major Western automaker eager to exploit the market there as quickly as possible with their own electric cars. Well, this week, a study from Transport and Environment detailed that European automakers are now spending 7 times more money developing and building electric vehicles for China than they are for the European market or any other market. And while this is good news for China, it's bad news for everywhere else because, frankly, we all need electric cars, right? Tesla hasn't been far from the headlines this week as usual, but this week it's been due to a series of small fires at its Fremont facility, fires which Tesla CEO Elon Musk has suggested could be sabotage, as well as a sordid court case against a former employee which Tesla alleged hacked the company's manufacturing operating system and stole confidential data. The reason? Well, it depends who you ask. According to Tesla, the former employee, Martin Tripp, had worked as a protest technician at the Gigafactory in Reno and was frustrated about not getting a promotion he wanted. Since Tesla filed papers against him in civil court and requested that the case be heard by a jury, which is very unusual in a civil case, Tripp has hit back, sharing a screenshot of an email exchange with Elon Musk and stating that he was a whistleblower. Then, if that wasn't enough, Tesla said that they had been tipped off about an alleged threat that he'd made to shoot up the place. The local sheriff's department says there's no credible threat found, but this case is likely to go on for many, many weeks. Not to be outdone by the next generation 350 kilowatt DC quick charging specification for CCS, the CHAdeMO Association has announced a new version of its DC quick charging standard that it says will support charging speeds of up to 400 kilowatts. Designed to allow larger vehicles to charge quickly, as well as passenger cars, of course, CHAdeMO 2.0 will continue the same vehicle-to-grid technology as previous standards, something that CCS still hasn't figured out. But it will also include something called Plug and Charge, a system that will allow for automatic billing of customers without the need for RFID tags or credit cards, thanks to identification of the vehicle. In other words, a much more Tesla-like experience. And finally, in most of the world, coal-fired power stations are being phased out in favour of cleaner, greener energy generation methods. But with coal-fired power stations still having everything they need to connect them and large amounts of power to the grid, it turns out that former coal-fired facilities make great sites for massive grid-tied energy storage projects, which is why Daimler and its subsidiary Mercedes-Benz Energy, along with NHTSA Energy and the Mobility House, have just built a grid-tied energy system with a difference in a former coal-fired plant. Rather than house second-life batteries, the facility is housing 1,920 battery modules that are identical to the ones used in the third generation of the Smart for 2 EDs. The idea? To keep those new modules active and alive so that when a customer needs a new battery for their car, an active in-use battery from the facility can be swapped out for the old battery that needs replacing. Since keeping new batteries in an active state where they're gently used is better than storing them in an unused state, Benz hopes this site will be the first of many. And on that note, it's the end of this week's show. As always, don't forget to like, comment, hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode, and subscribe to both this channel and Transport Evolved Take 2 if you've not already done so. And if you want to support the independence of this channel, why not support us by using a donation from one of the 2 links above, or by buying some Transport Evolved swag from our shop. You don't have to, but it really helps. And before I go, I want to tell you about a new giveaway on the channel to celebrate our impending 50,000th subscriber. We haven't got there yet, but we're nearly there. So we've partnered with Oscar and Hamish, who make tailored handmade luggage for your EV, to give Transport Evolved subscribers the chance to win a custom frunk set for a Tesla Model S or Model X. If you'd like to buy one of your own, you can also get a 10% discount by using the code in the description below. To take part, follow us on Twitter at Transport Evolved and Oscar and Hamish on Instagram at Oscar Hamish, and tell us about the adventures you'd go on with a custom handmade set of Model S or X luggage in your car. Use the hashtag EvolvedLuggage. We'll run the competition until we hit our 50,000th subscriber, so you've probably got a few weeks to get your entries in. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week, and as always, keep evolving.